I made the Loomipedia better because the current one kind of sucks and I hate it. So if we look at it, most of the Loomians are ordered by when they're added, so most of this makes sense because this was the first update, so Loomians are like generally by area, but then we get to stuff like Icicle is just randomly in the middle of Route 6 and 7, and then also Vari is in the middle of a bunch of Weather Loomians and Route 8 stuff, and then this is just a mess. Like, why is Sherbot here? Shouldn't he be, like, all the way back next to Garbantus? He's next to Billow Forge? What? So, I've been making a living Loomipedia for about a year and a half now. Don't question why it's backwards, it's easier to sort, but I decided to make my own organization of it because I would rather have the Loomians in an order that makes it like easy to know where they are, instead of just having the newest stuff getting shoved to the end. So yeah, this box is pretty much the same as the Loomipedia because I think it's pretty good, but I've sorted everything based on rarity, so all of the starters are the same rarity because you get to choose one for free, and all of the Route 1 stuff, there's no Route Rares, so they're the same. But then if we go into the second box, Antsy and Pyda are at the end, but Grubby is at the start because Antsy and Pyda are the Route Rares for Gale Forest. So then we have Route 3, which has Geklo, Babor, and Kleptyke, but I also put Oxydrake here because I felt like leaving it until the Polar Corp Loomians, which is when you would actually be able to get it with the strong magnet, would be weird because it's not really a Polar Loomian, it's more like a Route 3 Loomian because it's just in Galvanite Cave off to the side. So I thought it made way more sense to put it here. And then we got Route 4, I think this is also pretty much in the same order as the Loomipedia. And again, Shorty's at the end because it's a Route Rare. Oh, but I was gonna reorganize this because you technically go to Igneous Hollow first. Oops. Okay, crisis is averted now. I have fixed the ordering. So we have the Route 5 Loomians, which I just realized there's only two original one for Route 5. And then Igneous Hollow, because you're supposed to go there first, and then the Graveyard. And I put both calf notes here because I didn't put later on in here. I have Sonoga and Vari, which both have gender differences, but I feel like these ones are the only ones that are actually big enough to like be separate Loomians here, because other Loomians that have gender differences, they're like just slightly changing parts of them. Like Vari just has bigger antlers if it's male, but this one, calf note, is literally just, it has an entirely different form if it's male or female, and Scampy is just, it looks the same and then evolved into a different thing based on its gender. I need to do some explaining for why I put Diborg here. My thinking for stuff like fishing encounters and overworld encounters was I'll put them with the common stuff. They're mostly pretty easy to find, but you actually need to find them somewhere in the overworld. So I lumped Sharpod and Samarine here because while they're technically found on Lotus Sun Beach, which is just be right up here anyways, they're made by Polar Corp, so I feel like they should be lumped in with the rest of the Polar Corp Loomians and just having them off in the middle of nowhere, like Sherbot was in the actual Loomipedia. It's just really weird, and I don't like that. But it's at the end of all of them because it's technically found in the furthest away location from the rest of them. Then we have Route 8, which has the 3 fishing encounters in the game of Goppy, Swimp, and Ploth. And I originally had Goppy and Swimp at the original locations where you can first fish up both of them. So I had Goppy right outside of Middistown, so it was the first thing even before Twilight, and Swimp was right before Gale Forest, but I thought eventually that was kind of dumb because you can't get it until you have the fishing rod, so I just ended up lumping them with Ploth, which is first fishable on Route 8, and I guess this makes enough sense. Actually, I should probably, yeah, that looks nicer. Boonary is at the end because it's like a special thing, you have to buy it instead of just finding him in the wild. It's the same order that the Loomipedia puts the Araneta Trench Loomians, except for the fact that I actually really hate where Cleone and Jalusa are in the Loomipedia because, hold on, I'll just show you. They're all the way back here, but the rest of the Ironad Trench Loomians, they're here. So there's like a giant gap. I think I counted it's about 30 or 40 Loomians in between them, which I really hate. So I put them at the start, because they are pretty common encounters, and then the route rares up here. And then here's just an empty box in case more Loomians get added, which they definitely are going to add. And now we go on to the weird stuff. These are the 4 weird boxes. So this is the start of events, and I did them in order of when they released throughout the year, and then still in the same order of the rare stuff first. And I put the fishing encounters first, because there's only one fishing encounter, which is Swishy. I just put it first because putting it at the end after all of the stuff that is way rarer than it feels wrong. So yeah, Sweet Retreat is first because originally it was Valentine's, and then we have Unfair because it's Halloween, and Christmas because it's Christmas and it's at the end of the year. I didn't include Festifer or Wakalaka here, or Year Snack. It just feels wrong to separate them from the evolution line because it's just kind of like a new evolution, but it's just a bit harder to get it. This box is also a bit weird. I put Dragodyne's line at the end of the events because it technically should be at the near the start of events. It should be after the Sweet Retreat because it was an Easter event, so it happened second in the year of all of the events. But it also should be with the Weather Loomians because it's a Weather Loomian. So I just compromised and put it at the end of all of the weathers, or the start of the weathers technically. Oh, I just realized the weathers are backwards. All of the kind of roaming but not a roaming Loomians are at the end. So these guys are here because they're pretty much the same as Pyramide and Vari, but that you don't need mastery. They just kind of appear on a random route every day. Vari is here because it's a mastery Loomian and you can find it anywhere. And Pyramide's here because it's also a mastery Loomian and you can find it anywhere. And all of those are kind of similar to the roaming, so they go here. And then we have Dusker, Cosplay Protagon. Dakuda would be here if I owned one. The soft reset roamings are here. Oceros and Glaciadia would be here too if I had them. I'll probably need to move these up in the future. And then the event roamings are the same as the event Loomians. They're ordered in when they would happen throughout the year. So we have Nimue, Sweet Retreat, Meteor Shower, which I think first happened in June or July. I could have put it here because they had one in February too, but I don't care. I'm gonna follow this. There's Halloween and Christmas. And that is my remade Loomipedia, which I think, in my opinion, is far better than the actual Loomipedia. And hopefully at some point we can get this reorganized because it's just a mess. There's a bunch of Loomian categories that are just separated from each other, and it's annoying. And also on that, can we get mastery fixed too? What's up with this?